This is the Healthology Experts, where we talk about the art and science of health and longevity. I'm Dr. Traveler, and thank you for joining us. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by our Healthology Experts Weight Loss Accelerator Program. It's really 5 components, really quick, we'll go through. It's the contour light, it's a device that pumps energy into the body and helps you to just be healthier and lose inches. It's our peptides, so it's the semaglutide injections. It's the STIQ scan. It's the coaching for diet and exercise, and then coaching for lifestyle. And if you look at those things, it's like something to just make you overall more healthy, make you feel better, something to help you lose the weight that you've been struggling to lose. For many people, that's a challenge. Something to track your results and really track them really well. Something to change your habits, your eating and exercise habits, and then something to change and help you have a better mindset. Okay, so with those 5 things, our Healthology Expert Weight Loss Accelerator Program has been successful for helping so many people, and we hope that if that's a challenge for you, that it can help you as well. So brought to you by that, and enjoy the episode. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm really excited today. This is the first time in this podcast that I will get to interview someone that I just met. So today we've got Lynn Fisher, okay, and I literally just met him about 30 minutes ago.
Yes.
I was told about Lynn, so I have a good friend of mine who is a super healthy guy, and we go to these business meetings together, and I said to him, hey, I've started this podcast, and so I said, if you know anybody who is just really healthy, and especially, we talk a lot, those of you who are listening, my listeners, longevity, health, those who are kind of doing, I guess some ordinary, but some extraordinary anyway. My friend Jordan, he's like, I got a guy you got to talk to. And so he set us up, and I'm really excited today to hear from Lynn. And so, yes, just welcome.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
Okay. So first, let's get to know Lynn just a little bit. So why don't you start off telling me a little bit about like your family?
Okay.
Tell us about your family.
You bet. So I'm happily married, 7 beautiful kids, 16 grandchildren. About 9 of those grandchildren are here in St. George, Utah. So we get to enjoy them on a weekly basis. In fact, we'll have a birthday party for one tomorrow, and there'll be about 20 people over, and it's just a routine thing for us.
There we go. Perfect. And what about let's say your work history? Tell me about what you did for work.
Okay, so I retired 2 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago this week.
Nice.
I worked for a big company, 3M. Had about 25 employees that all reported to me, in charge of a big responsibility piece of business. And I realized that when I hit about 60 years of age, I started thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to retire in a couple of years, but I was starting to feel a little bit of that what at the time I thought was old age stuff.
Sure.
But long story short, I retired 2 years ago.
Okay. Well, and we're going to get to some, because there's a lot of this that comes into play that, again, Lynn and I were kind of visiting before. And then really, well, why don't you tell me the story about, why don't you keep going with what you were saying? So getting ready to retire and thinking, I'm getting kind of old, and you weren't willing to accept that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, here I hit about 60 years of age, and you start thinking about things at that point. And I did extensive traveling and had all these commitments to a bunch of employees. But interesting, on a personal note, I was starting to feel a little frumpy, a couple extra pounds. If a person is in their 50s, 60s, they're going to go, oh yeah, I can relate to that.
Or in their 40s, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
And starting to feel a little frumpy. I noticed my posture's getting a little sloppy. Not feeling nearly as energetic. And at first I thought, gee, this is just, kind of an old age thing. But I thought back and I said, look at my past, I wasn't like this amazing athlete. I played a little football in high school, ran a little track. I did do some running, some competition running, but never I was just an average guy, never the star, never went to state, never, never won a state championship in anything. And so but I recognized that there's a point where I felt a little healthier.
Yeah.
And so about 6 years ago, I just turned 60, and I said, you know what? I've got to adjust something to make that happen. And there's really kind of a couple things in my life, that 3 things that really are important. And I kind of put it into a package. I said, okay, activity. What am I doing for my health activity? What am I doing? Some people walk, some people play tennis, whatever it may be. And I realized that as much as I thought I was active, I really wasn't. I needed a plan. So my son just happened to come home one weekend, and he was involved in CrossFit. And CrossFit is a very intense health program, exercise program. But I thought I'm going to join in. So here's a 60-year-old guy showing up, and with all these big, strong muscle guys like you.
Oh, I don't know.
So the deal is like any program, it can be adjusted and fixed and tweaked to kind of help where you are along the way. So I started this program, but I realized that I was still working at that time, and I still had this big responsibility. So the only time I could fit it in, Justin, was at literally in the morning, and so I started getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
That's
now,
crazy.
Now there are some people go, I could never do that, and I was one of those people.
Yeah.
But I realized that if it didn't get done then, it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So I started getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going down to CrossFit, and as the months went by, the weeks and the months and even the years, my ability and my skill set got better and better. I also realized that getting up earlier forced me to go to bed earlier at night. Like, who would have thought that you could fall asleep at 9 p.m.? I mean, come on, that's when my favorite show turns on TV,
Yeah.
So, but the reality is it just kind of had a natural flow to it. It was very easy, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy working out, every day, but it changed my life.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us for the audience?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people hear CrossFit, see, have friends that do it. Tell us a little bit about like what is a CrossFit? How would you describe a CrossFit workout?
Okay, well, CrossFit workout can be very accelerating. You think that maybe it's too much for me, but here again, you can scale it down to fit everybody. So there's something there for everybody, and it consists of lifting some weights. And when I say that, they are Olympic weights lifting, but it's not so big and powerful that you're going to compete with an Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, that's just not the way it is.
Yeah.
So you're lifting some weights, you're doing some exercises, you're doing some stretching, and that stretching piece is huge. In fact, that has become a part of my daily routine. I currently go to CrossFit, Monday through Wednesday. I take Thursday off and I stretch. I take some time stretching Thursday. Then I go back and do Friday and Saturday and take Sunday off. But that stretching piece combined with the movements, and it's constantly varied. So there's all kinds of movements involved. But that's the beauty of CrossFit, is that it's constantly varied. So you're getting all these different movements and actions, and it's been a life changer for me.
That's awesome. In fact, I know Jordan had said you've gotten, like, are there, because I honestly, I've never done CrossFit. I've always thought I ought to go do it. I have my own workout plans and goals, and so it just hasn't done it. But so I don't know a whole lot.
Okay.
So how do you work up in ranks? It's not like you're not like a black belt to it.
No.
So how does it work?
So,
he just said that there's competitions,
yes.
And he says Lynn is like he's right there, like ready to.
So what happens is CrossFit is a global community. So you've got people at these competitions competing from all over the world. So it's really fun from that aspect. And in that CrossFit community, there's competition. There's a big annual, think of it as the championship, the playoff every year.
Yeah.
And it's called the Open. So you go through and you're competing against athletes all over the world that are being judged by people that are certified judges. You videotape yourself so that it can be critiqued, and it's like, okay, no, that didn't count. That didn't count, exactly. And so from the Open, they take 10% of all the athletes that move on to a quarterfinal. And so I was fortunate enough for the last couple of years to always move on to the quarterfinal. this year just finished the quarterfinal. From there, they take the 30 athletes from every region to go to a semi and then to a championship. I just fell short again of going to that next level, but it's okay.
But still,
it's okay because I recognize that there are 2,500 athletes behind me that I beat.
Yeah.
In essence, and so it's okay.
So in that, they don't take age into account.
There is divisions.
There's divisions.
Yeah. So they break it up in basically 5-year increments.
Got it.
And so there is a 65 plus.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you'd very quickly go, oh, the old man's division. But you've got guys that are deadlifting 500 pounds.
Wow.
And you're saying like, that guy's like almost 70 or
Yeah.
looking at 70. And so there's, it's very competitive, and you're talking about people very fit.
That's awesome. So the age, no excuse.
Oh, there's no excuse.
They're like,
There's no
and
excuse.
anyone can do it.
Right. But I will tell you, the competition is awesome.
Yeah.
But on a very personal note, it's fun to go to the gym
Yeah.
and do these movements and do these programs where I'm actually beating 30, 40, 50-year-olds. By the way, Jordan's not
I
one
know
of
you
them.
beat me. No, Jordan.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Jordan looks pretty fit and strong.
He's pretty fit and strong.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Is there, so now you kind of already talked about the moment when you kind of had this realization.
Yeah.
How did you go about maybe setting your goals? And because, when it comes to fitness, I find that those who get to the point where you're at have to kind of have a plan in place. So
Correct.
How did you establish that plan?
So it kind of came down to a couple things. One is for sure that you have to commit to it. Like, it's consistency in anything, right?
Yeah.
And so if you think you're going to go to CrossFit or any gym or do anything, go home that night, look in the mirror and go, man, I'm looking better already. That isn't going to happen, as you know. But yet, in the back of our minds, we all expect that. And you might even go to that mirror after 2 weeks and go, where am I looking? How am I looking? You give it 90 days, I can tell you in my case.
Yeah.
In 90 days, I saw something.
Yeah.
And it was just enough to keep me going, a little bit of a carrot. And of course, somewhere along the way, we could talk about diet, because there's a couple things you just adjust that comes along with that.
So why don't you describe
Okay.
it to us, like when you say diet, because again, we kind of spoke before, it's not extreme.
No.
But when in your thought, as you choose the food you eat, what's your thought process?
Well, I can tell you that once you take care of the activity piece, meaning, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out and play pickleball every day. I'm going to walk 3 miles every day. I'm going to go to CrossFit every morning. Once you establish your activity, then you look at diet. And in my case, in diet, you're going to be surprised, Justin, I eat anything and everything I want, anytime I want.
There you go.
But what is the game changer is that they're the obvious things that you just don't eat every day, nor do I want to eat them every day. I think if you should be, it's the easy things. Like, I'm gonna quit drinking soda.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quit eating chips every day. Doesn't mean I love them. I
Yeah.
love potato chips.
Doesn't mean you never do, but
Right.
you're trying to be your best.
Yeah.
Yeah, to perform, do your best.
Exactly. I'm going to avoid donuts. And by the way, I love donuts. but I'm going to have a donut, I don't know, once every 3 months.
Yeah,
or
every
something.
so often.
Yeah. And pastries and just some that obvious, like that's just the obvious. And so, and what happens as you start to look and feel better, guess what? You kind of don't want those.
Yeah.
And if you say, I'm going to do that one day a week, I'm just going to gorge myself on something.
Sure.
So the idea is that the diet, you don't have to go on a fixed diet. You say, I'm just going to back off on a couple of these things. That's all. And as you do that, and of course here again, you feel it in 90 days, but in 1 year, like, you will be a different person.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the, for that example, my wife and I were in this age group where our friends are kind of in their late 50s to, late 60s, we'll call it. And we get together, we go out for dinner, we play games, we entertain together, and best of friends. And there's a few people in that group that play pickleball.
Yeah.
And so they've got some activity. They got that activity piece down. But I like to hike And so I take friends, even from out of town, on a Zion's hike like 3-4 times a year on some of the major hikes, the hikes that where people come from all over the world to attend. These are 10, 11, 12, 13 mile hikes where you're hiking through water,
Tough.
climbing,
Yeah.
rappelling, all these things. And I'm saddened to say that most of my friends, our friends, like they can't do that.
Yeah.
And it's like you could, if you adjusted a few things,
Yeah.
you could do it, but they can't do that. Physically, they can't.
Yeah. So it's kind of that choice. What I'm hearing is like, and I oftentimes say this, life is it's about becoming something, right?
Right.
And it sounds like you've become, like if you become a healthy person, you don't have to set all these health restrictions. You automatically can say, I can eat what I want.
Yeah.
But I'm going to eat healthy because
Right.
because I am a healthy person.
There we go. That's it.
And that's what I see from, like, just look, like you see him and you go, he's healthy, Well, I find also that there's a driving why, and we talked a little bit about this too. So why don't you tell me about how the why, like a big purpose, like your
Okay.
family and things.
Fantastic. So there's, once you figure out the activity piece, and you kind of know you're going to do something healthy from an activity standpoint, and it could be anything. For me, it's CrossFit, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll notice that you'll adjust your diet just almost unseemingly. It just takes place because you're feeling it. Your posture changes. Everything changes. And then part of the benefit of all that is that third piece, what I call, is the love or passion. So the things that you love and are passionate for the most, they're enhanced. So in my case, I love, I go to church, I've got church callings so that I attend and people that I associate with. I'm feeling better to support those callings and do things with that, or those good brothers and sisters I attend church with.
Yep.
Then on top of that, the second piece is the family. And that's where it really, really pays off. The other day, my granddaughter, 13, Aspen, she said, "Hey, Grandpa, how much can you deadlift?" Now, I was surprised that she even knew the term deadlift.
Yeah. Yes.
But I said, I knew. It's like 335 pounds. She said, "Great, turn around. Give me a piggyback ride to the car." And so, turn around, she hops on, we prance through the house, we do some twirly-twos, and we go around through the yard and zigzag around the yard, and I finally end up dumping her at the car. But I'll be honest with you, had I not kind of got healthy, I could not have done that. So now I know I can wrestle with the grandkids.
That's right.
Now, don't get me wrong, if we do a foot race, I'm gonna lose. I will lose.
I bet you can take a few of those. Yeah.
But I can run longer than they can.
There you go. The stamina.
I
love that. So, and again, for those who have already listened, we do talk about that balance of physical, mental, spiritual. It sounds like you become a healthy person.
Right.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, a healthy person. Those
There we
all play in together.
There we go. And that last piece, it's almost like, faith, family, and freedom. That I have the freedom now to kind of do, like, if someone calls me tonight and said, "Hey, you want to go hiking in Zion's tomorrow?" I can go do that. Like, there's nothing that could stop me from doing that.
Yeah. Why don't you check with your wife?
There you go.
No, I love that. So I guess as we kind of wrap up, I could see, someone watching this, and again, my target audience is my patients. So I could see a patient watching this and listening, and maybe hopefully they haven't turned it off already, but they're sitting here going, "That guy's he's way too fit. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get me, the challenge. I have this challenge physically." And it sounds like you've come from a place, maybe not like you were always pretty healthy, but for someone who's looking at it going, I just don't think that this is, like, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
What would be maybe some words of encouragement or places where they could start?
I can tell you honestly, like, I'm the average guy. When I was in high school, I played a few sports. I was just average. I wasn't the starter. I never won a state championship. Just the average guy. And as I went through life, maybe my professional career was on a higher level than my health, but I was just the average anything I did. And I can tell you, Justin, that I'm the average guy that's doing above average things. It's because I finally recognized that I could.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter. It took place primarily while I was still working. I had these high demands, with a high career expectations, but I fit in. I just realized that, you know what? I've been average in everything all my life, but now I know how to be above average.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the interesting thing about that is sometimes you can allude to overplaying it. For example, that doesn't mean that I don't wake up with sore knees occasionally.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that I don't have this achy shoulder. It doesn't mean that I got fatigued, that the hike made me tired, or I did an extreme hike and I'm going to feel it for like a week. It doesn't mean that I'm without pain or without some of just the natural things that take place.
Sure.
But I am genuinely the average guy, but I'm proud to say I'm doing above average things.
And again, it sounds to me like it's that you say consistent. You show up.
Yes.
And by showing up and being there and
Yes.
having a purpose and a why. So yeah, I love that. Just telling someone, just be there, show up, and you may be sore.
Right.
There were days, I'm sure, where you're like, I don't feel like being here.
Right.
But you're there.
One more story.
Yeah.
So, one of the benefit is if you have children or grandkids, when you feel better, you'll be more time and better with those kids. So one of the fun things I did, Justin, is, we've seen all these scooters, electric scooters around town that you have to rent.
Yep.
So I finally broke down and went out and bought a handful of them.
Cool.
And my children come over, my grandkids, and we all get on the scooters, and I race them out the garage, we race them on the bike trail, we race them in the canyons, and there are people that say to me, Lynn, like, you can ride a scooter? I'm telling you that if I can ride a scooter, anybody can ride a scooter.
Yeah.
And it's all come because I fixed my activity and I got some physical health.
I love it. I love it. You're an inspiration.
Oh, thanks.
You really are. I'm privileged to get to know you and meet you. I owe Jordan big time. So, you've already imparted so much knowledge. Is there any, I think, and we pulled it all out, or any parting thoughts of wisdom?
There's nothing you can't do, especially when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. There's nothing.
Now, do you plan on how long are you doing CrossFit for?
Oh, 15 more years.
Indefinitely.
Yeah. So I'm just counting on it.
Yeah. I love it. So it's the mentality too.
Yes.
You just say, I'm a healthy person. I do CrossFit. I can do anything. The mentality.
Yes.
I love this. Okay. All right, you guys. We have been fed today. This is great knowledge. Again, I appreciate Lynn Fisher for joining me today. And this is Dr. Traveler and Lynn Fisher, and we are signing out. All right, thanks for listening today. Hey, if you could please go on, subscribe, make a comment, go on to all the other social media. Go on to Facebook, Instagram, go on to TikTok, search for Healthology Experts. It really helps us to grow and push this message. And if you gain value from this, then go on and please participate. We try to get to all of the questions or anything that you have, any responses or comments. So go, subscribe, do all the stuff that helps us. All right, guys, see ya.